In this video, we are going to talk about the do while loop. So in the previous video, we talked about the while loop. And so the do while loop is kind of similar to the while loop. They have the following form. So they start off with the keyword do, and then there's a code block here with some statements in it. Then at the end of the code block, there is a while statement. Okay, and just like before, it consists of the keyword while, and then the condition is in here, and inside parentheses, and then a semicolon. Okay, so in the while loop, the while part doesn't get the semicolon. You don't want to do that, but in the do while loop, you have to have one here to end the statement. All right, and so now the action here kind of works like this. So when execution comes to a do while loop, the code block gets executed first. Okay, and then the condition will get checked here. So remember, that's a Boolean expression. That means it's either true or false. If the condition is true, right, then the code block will get repeated, and then the while condition will get checked again after the code block gets done. If the condition is false, then execution will move to the next line right after the while part. Okay. All right, that's pretty much it on the do while loop. The main difference, right, between the while loop and the do while loop is that with the while loop, the code block might never get executed. So it will get executed 0 or more times possibly. But with the do while loop, right, the code block always is executed at least once, right? So with the do while loop, the code block will get executed one or more times possibly. Okay. The do while loop, any do while loop can be rewritten as just a while loop. It just is a little cleaner in certain circumstances. So let's take a look at the do while loop program that we have here. All right, first we're going to run it and show you what happens. All right, so here I'm asked to enter a positive number, so I enter a 4. Here, again, another positive number, and another positive number again. And so what's more important is if I run this and I enter a letter. Oh, did not expect that. Okay, let me take a look at this. Okay, all right, so enter, I'm sorry. I should have read the prompt there. I didn't read it. All right, so enter a positive number. Okay, so let's say I enter 0, which is not positive. It's going to ask again. I enter a -3, a -6, and so it will keep asking. And then when I finally enter a positive whole number, then it will move on to the next one. So same thing here. If I enter a negative or 0, a integer that's not positive, then it will keep asking. Same thing on the third one. Until I enter a positive one. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so let's take a look at the do while loop. So here again, just like a while loop, I need to declare a variable that I am going to use, right, to control the loop. And then inside the code block, I need to change it, and I change it by asking the user to type a value in. Okay. And then I use that variable in the condition. So you can see in that sense, it's kind of just like a while loop. It's just that this code block is done first. Okay. So just to show you the comparison here between the while and the do while loop, here is the same loop, loop 2, right? This do while loop that's right here. Here you can see it rewritten as a while loop right here. So it has exactly the same functionality. And you can see the difference if I drag this down a little bit. Okay, the difference is that with the while loop, I have to ask the user to type in some the number outside of the loop. Okay, and then inside the loop, again, I have to ask them again. So basically, these two lines of code inside here are repeated on the outside for the very first time that the loop is when execution comes to line 28 here. Okay, with the do while loop, I don't need to do that because it gets done before the condition is checked. So you can see the do while loop in this case is a little cleaner, right, than the other one. And I don't know why I redid this third one here. So, all right, let's take a look at it in Canvas and we can watch the execution line by line. Okay, so I'm going to click the down arrow. That creates a scanner object. Here I declare the variable number. Okay. And I'm going to drag that over here so we can see the value of it change. All right, so now execution comes into the do while loop. It prints, enter a positive whole number. All right, and I enter -6, which is not a positive whole number. So that number gets read in, and now number changes to -6. Okay, so it's going to look at this while loop here, or check the condition, and I have -6 is less than 1, which is true, right? And so what that means is that it's going to bounce back up here and do the code block again. All right, so it's going to print that message out again. Enter a positive whole number. All right, I'm going to enter a 0. So you can see the value of number changes to 0. It checks this condition, 0 is less than 1. That is true, right? And so that means it's going to do the loop body again. So it's going to ask again, hey, enter a positive number. This time I'm going to type a positive number in, which is 1. Now the value of the variable number is 1, and so this is going to be 1 is less than 1, right, which is false. And so therefore, since the condition is false, it's going to move to line 22 and just continue on its way. Okay, pretty much the same thing here, and let's take a look at the while loop and trace through it just so you can compare how it runs to the do while loop. So here I'm outside of the loop, right, and so I have, since this version is with a while loop, I'm going to have to ask separately from inside the loop. Okay, so enter, and this time I'm going to type in a -2. All right, and so here it checks the condition. Now the value of the variable number is -2. Is -2 less than 1? That is true, right? So now the loop body is going to get executed. It's going to print this statement, and then it's going to let me type in a number again. So this time I'm going to type in a 0. All right, that was the last line in the loop body, so it bounces back up here and checks the condition again. So now number is 0, right? 0 is less than 1 is true. So that means that the loop body is getting executed again. So it prints out enter a whole positive whole number, and then lets me type in again. So this time I'm going to enter 7. All right, and so now the value of the variable number is 7. So it checks this condition, 7's less than 1 is false. So you're going to see it's going to skip past the code block down to line 37. Okay. All right, and that's it for the do while loop.